The massive viewscreen aboard the UES Athena cast an ethereal blue glow across Captain Alina Blackwood's face as she watched the Nykthari vessel approach Earth's orbital defense platform. 6 months of careful diplomacy had led to this moment, humanity's first official alliance with an advanced alien civilization. The sleek, crystalline ship before them represented everything humanity had dreamed of: technological advancement, peaceful cooperation, and a gateway to the stars. If only they had known it was all a lie. "Ambassador Vexther's shuttle is ready to dock, Captain," Lieutenant James Harrison reported from his station, dark fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "All diplomatic protocols are in place." Alina nodded, straightening her crisp naval uniform. At 43, she'd earned every silver strand in her black hair fighting to reach this position. Now she would be the one to welcome humanity into a greater galactic community. Security status. "Defense grid at standard coverage," Security Chief Nikolai Volkov answered, his scarred face reflected in his monitor. "Token gesture as requested by our friends." The hesitation in his voice matched the unease that had been gnawing at Alina's gut for weeks. The Nykthari had appeared exactly when Earth needed them most. Climate crisis, resource depletion, political instability, they offered solutions to it all. Their technology could terraform Mars in months instead of centuries. Their energy systems could end dependence on fossil fuels overnight. It was perfect. Too perfect. The docking sequence commenced with precision, and Alina made her way to the airlock alongside her first officer, Commander David Chen. "Still having those dreams?" David asked quietly as they walked. Alina's jaw tightened. For the past month, she'd been plagued by nightmares of crystalline ships darkening Earth skis. "Just pre-ceremony jitters," she deflected. David knew her too well. They'd served together for 15 years since the resource wars of the 2040s. The airlock cycled, and Ambassador Vexther emerged with his delegation. Their tall, elegant forms moved with liquid grace, iridescent robes flowing around bodies that seemed more crystal than flesh. Their faces were beautiful in an alien way, all sharp angles and geometric patterns, with eyes that shifted color like oil on water. "Captain Blackwood," Vexther's voice resonated with harmonics that made the deck plates vibrate subtly. "The day of unity has arrived. Your world will remember this moment for generations to come." There was something in those shifting eyes, something Alina had seen before in the resource wars. The look of a predator about to strike. The ceremony proceeded according to plan. Speeches were made, documents were signed, and the Nykthari presented their gift, a massive crystal that would supposedly power Earth's first faster-than-light drive. Alina watched as it was carefully transported to the Athena's engineering lab for preliminary studies. That's when everything went wrong. The first alarm came from Mars Colony. Their defense grid was going dark, systems failing in cascading waves. Then Luna Base reported massive energy fluctuations. As Alina rushed to the bridge, her nightmares became reality. The crystal was a Trojan horse. It had interfaced with Earth's defense network, creating backdoors throughout the system. The massive Nykthari ship above them transformed, its beautiful crystalline surface sprouting weapons arrays like thorns on a rose. "All hands battle stations." Alina's command cut through the chaos as more Nykthari vessels emerged from hyperspace. "Harrison, get me Earth command. Volkov, weapons hot." But it was too late. The defense grid was compromised, turning Earth's own satellites against ground targets. The Nykthari's true face was revealed, not saviors, but conquerors who had done this dozens of times before. They waited for civilizations to reach just the right level of technology, offered false hope, then struck when their victims were most vulnerable. David's voice cut through the klaxons. Multiple impacts detected worldwide. They're targeting military installations, power grids, and government centers. It's a decapitation strike. Alina watched in horror as the Nykthari ships began systematic orbital bombardment. Cities that had stood for thousands of years vanished in flashes of crystalline fire. But amid the horror, she saw something else: resistance. Military bases that should have been crippled were still fighting. Underground installations activated backup systems. Humanity had learned from its own wars never to keep all its eggs in one basket. "Get me a secure channel to any surviving military command," Elena ordered, her voice steel, "and prepare to initiate Protocol Omega." The bridge crew stared at her. Protocol Omega was a theoretical last-resort strategy, never meant to be actually used. "Ma'am," Harrison's voice shook slightly, "that would mean—" "They crossed the line," Elena cut him off, watching as another city vanished from Earth's surface. "Now it's time they learned why humans don't break. We bend, we adapt, and then we strike back harder than ever. Send the signal. The stars will remember the day they made an enemy of Earth." As the Athena prepared for what might be its final battle, Elena Blackwood made a vow. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about showing the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into the night. The Nyxthari thought they were harvesting another easy target. Instead, they had just started a war that would reshape the galaxy. The real question was, how many stars would burn before it was over? 3 months after First Contact's betrayal, the remnants of humanity's military leadership gathered in a hardened bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Colonel Marcus Drake stood before a holographic display of Earth's orbital space, his weathered face illuminated by the red dots representing Nyxthari control points. At 52, he'd spent his life preparing for wars, but nothing like this. "The Athena's sacrifice bought us time," he addressed the assembled commanders, his voice carrying the weight of recent losses. Captain Blackwood's last stand had destroyed 3 Nyxthari capital ships and severely damaged their command vessel, proving humanity wasn't as helpless as they'd assumed. Now we show them what we do with that time. Dr. Olivia Zhao stepped forward, her lab coat marked with scorch marks from recent weapons tests. "Project Phoenix is ready for field deployment," she announced, bringing up schematics of what looked like standard fighter craft. The Nyxthari made one critical mistake. They assumed their crystalline technology was beyond our understanding. The room stirred. Everyone had seen how the alien weapons transformed matter into pure energy, how their ships seemed to bend physics itself. But Zhao's team had been working around the clock, studying debris from the battles above. "Their crystals manipulate quantum fields through geometric resonance," Olivia continued, highlighting specific sections of the schematics. "We couldn't replicate their tech exactly, but we found something better, a way to disrupt it." Marcus nodded to Technical Sergeant Raj Patel, who activated a secure feed from Test Site Bravo. The screen showed a captured Nyxthari scout ship, its crystalline surface gleaming. A small drone approached it, emitting a specific frequency. Within seconds, the alien vessel's surface began to fracture, its perfect geometry dissolving into chaos. "Operation Dead Sky," Marcus announced, "begins now. We've lost the orbital defense grid, but we still have hundreds of satellite launchers and ground-based facilities. We're going to fill near-Earth orbit with thousands of these disruption drones. Turn their perfect crystalline palace into a killing field." "The Nyxthari rely on their technological superiority," added Commander Grace Williams, her dark skin contrasting with the stark white bandage covering her left eye, a souvenir from the initial invasion. "They've never faced an enemy who could actually hurt their ships before. That makes them predictable." The plan was audacious. While the drones would provide the sword, humanity's remaining submarines would be the shield, using modified sonar systems to create a hemisphere of disruption around key cities. The Nyxthari wouldn't be able to approach without their ships literally falling apart. "What about ground forces?" asked General Miguel Hernandez, representing what remained of the Pan-American Defense Coalition. "The crystal forms are still overrunning our positions." Marcus gestured to Dr. Zhao, who brought up footage from recent skirmishes. "The same principles apply to their ground troops. Their bodies are partially crystalline, making them stronger and faster than humans. But that's their weakness, too. Our sonic weapons will shatter them like glass." The next hours were spent coordinating the global counterattack. Underground factories that had once built consumer electronics were now producing disruption drones. Submarine crews trained to project sonic barriers. Every surviving military base became a fortress equipped with the new weapons. But Marcus knew they needed more than just technology. They needed to break the Nyxthari's confidence, their absolute certainty in their superiority. That's where Operation Dead Sky's second phase came in. They think they know humanity, he continued, bringing up images of burning cities. They studied our broadcasts, our public records, our official military doctrine, but they never understood what makes us different from all their other conquests. We don't follow doctrine when our backs are against the wall. We improvise. The next image showed a civilian cargo ship that had been modified with salvaged Nyxthari crystals, piloted by a crew of merchant marines who'd volunteered for what was essentially a suicide mission. They had managed to destroy a major alien supply depot in orbit, using tactics no military commander would have authorized. Our strength isn't in our technology or our numbers, Marcus declared, his voice carrying the conviction that had made men and women follow him through countless battles. It's in our unpredictability, our refusal to follow their rules of warfare. Every civilian with a garage workshop is a potential weapons developer. Every hacker with a computer is a potential intelligence asset. Dr. Zhao stepped in again, her tired eyes brightening with fierce determination. We've also discovered something interesting about their communication network. The crystals don't just power their weapons, they form a kind of crystalline quantum web. They're all connected, which means when we start shattering their ships, they'll all feel it, Marcus finished. Every defeat, every destroyed vessel, every shattered crystal-form warrior will send ripples through their entire fleet. We're not just going to hurt them physically, we're going to break their spirit. The assembled leaders began coordinating their forces, preparing for humanity's first major counteroffensive. As Marcus watched them work, he thought about the reports from the resistance network spreading across occupied territories. Stories of civilians using homemade sonic devices to ambush alien patrols, of engineers reverse-engineering crashed ships, of soldiers adapting tactics on the fly, turning the invaders' precision against them. The Nyxthari had expected to harvest another world for their crystal empire. Instead, they'd awakened something far more dangerous, humanity's limitless capacity for adaptation and revenge. Operation Dead Sky would show them the price of their arrogance. As the meeting concluded, Marcus received word that the first wave of disruption drones was ready for deployment. He gave the order, knowing that above them, the perfect crystalline ships of the Nyxthari fleet were about to learn why Earth's skies had become a graveyard for empires throughout history. The real war was about to begin. Commander Jasmine Rodriguez stood in the heart of Haven 1, the largest of Earth's underground cities, watching streams of data flow across the massive holographic display. 6 months into the war, humanity had gone deep, converting old missile silos, mines, and natural cave systems into a network of hidden strongholds. The Nyxthari controlled the surface, but below ground, humanity was building its strength. "Status report on the Pacific Rim network?" she asked, brushing back her short copper hair, streaked with gray at the temples. The neural interface at the base of her skull hummed as it processed incoming data from resistance cells across the globe. Lieutenant Felix Wang's fingers danced across his console. "Brisbane bunker is online. They've finished adapting the old coal mines. Tokyo underwater facility reports successful crystal jamming tests. The whole network will be operational within 48 hours. Operation Dead Sky had changed the game. The Nyxthari no longer held unchallenged dominion over Earth's skies, forced to adapt to the constant threat of disruption fields. But they were learning, evolving their tactics, creating crystal configurations that could partially resist the sonic attacks. "Dr. Zhao's latest updates?" Jasmine asked, zooming in on a section of the Southeast Asian underground network. The quantum-encrypted communication channels they'd developed using modified Nyxthari tech crackled with constant activity. "Her teams made a breakthrough," Felix replied, bringing up new schematics. "They've found a way to not just disrupt the crystal matrices, but to rewrite them. We might be able to turn their own technology against them." Jasmine allowed herself a small smile. This was why humanity was surviving, why the Nyxthari's perfect invasion plan was falling apart. They'd expected a broken, demoralized species. Instead, They found one that grew stronger with every challenge. A priority alert flashed across the display. "Commander," Captain Diana Patel's voice cut through the command center's quiet hum. "We're detecting massive crystal energy signatures, multiple sites worldwide. They're trying something new." The main screen shifted, showing live feeds from surface observers. The Nixthari ships were descending lower than ever before, their crystalline surfaces pulsing with intense light. Where the light touched the ground, the Earth itself began to crystallize, spreading like frost across glass. "They're terraforming," Jasmine breathed, horror mixing with grudging admiration. "They're trying to convert Earth's entire biosphere into a crystal matrix they can control." But even as she watched the alien transformation begin, other alerts started pouring in. The crystallization was triggering earthquakes, disrupting the planet's magnetic field, causing catastrophic weather patterns. The Nixthari's attempt to remake Earth was backfiring spectacularly. "They don't understand," Felix muttered, watching the data streams. "Earth isn't some dead rock they can simply rewrite. It's a living system, infinitely complex. They might as well try to crystallize chaos itself." Jasmine's mind raced, seeing an opportunity in the crisis. "Get me Colonel Drake and Dr. Zhao, now." As she waited for the connection, she turned to her assembled staff. "The Nixthari just made their biggest mistake yet. They showed us their endgame and proved they don't understand what they're dealing with any better than they understand us." The quantum comm hummed to life, projecting ghostly images of Drake and Zhao. They'd already seen the data, their expressions grim but determined. "We can use this," Jasmine continued. "Their crystallization attempt is releasing enormous amounts of energy into Earth systems, energy we can tap into." Dr. Zhao nodded, her eyes lighting up with understanding. "The disruption fields. If we modify them to resonate with the planet's natural frequencies." She trailed off, fingers flying across her tablet as she ran calculations. "We turn the entire planet into a weapon," Drake finished. "Every fault line, every volcanic hotspot, every natural force becomes a point of resistance against their control." The next hours were a blur of activity as the plan took shape. Haven 1's quantum computers worked overtime, coordinating with other bunker cities to map Earth's geologic and electromagnetic patterns. Engineers modified the disruption field generators, tuning them to work in harmony with the planet's natural rhythms rather than against them. Resistance cells worldwide began moving their sonic weapons into position, targeting the points where the Nixthari's crystallization was strongest. They wouldn't try to stop the transformation, they would redirect it, using the aliens' own energy to create feedback loops in their crystal matrices. They thought Earth was just another conquest, Jasmine addressed her staff as the preparations neared completion. "A prize to be taken, a resource to be harvested. They never understood that this planet has been testing life, challenging it, forcing it to adapt or die for billions of years. Humanity isn't strong despite Earth's harshness, we're strong because of it." The first coordinated strike was scheduled for sunset. As Jasmine watched the countdown, she thought about how fitting it was. The Nixthari had come from the stars, bringing their cold, crystalline perfection to impose order on what they saw as chaos. But chaos wasn't the enemy, it was the source of all innovation, all evolution, all life. "All units in position," Felix reported. "Disruption fields aligned with planetary frequencies, waiting for your command." Jasmine took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Above them, the Nixthari continued their attempt to remake Earth in their image. They didn't realize they were about to learn why this planet had produced a species capable of turning even defeat into a weapon. "Launch Operation Earthbound," she ordered. "Let's show them what happens when you try to cage a force of nature." The command was sent, and across the globe, humanity's underground network came alive with purpose. The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and for the first time since the invasion, Jasmine felt certain of victory. Not because they had better weapons or stronger forces, but because they had finally embraced what the Nixthari never could, the power of chaos, adaptation, and evolution. The underground had risen, and with it, humanity's true strength was about to be unleashed. Chief Engineer Kai Patel stood before the gleaming hull of humanity's first crystal hybrid warship. the Phoenix Dawn. What had started as scattered resistance had evolved into something the Nyxthari never expected, a fusion of human ingenuity and their own crystalline technology. The ship's surface rippled with iridescent patterns, but unlike the cold perfection of alien vessels, this one pulsed with raw, barely contained power. "Final systems check," he called out, his voice echoing through the massive underground hangar. Around him, dozens of engineers and technicians monitored streams of data, making last-minute adjustments. They'd built this ship in secret deep beneath the Australian outback, using knowledge gained from countless battles and sacrifices. Dr. Zhao's breakthrough had been the key. They weren't just disrupting crystal matrices anymore. They were rewriting them, forcing the alien technology to adapt to human patterns rather than the other way around. The result was something entirely new, weapons and ships that channeled chaos instead of trying to control it. "Crystal core is stable," reported Lieutenant Hannah Chen, her eyes fixed on quantum readouts. "Entropy patterns within acceptable parameters. She's ready, Chief." Kai nodded, touching the ship's hull. The crystal surface responded to his neural implant, sending tingles up his arm. This wasn't just a weapon, it was humanity's declaration that we wouldn't just survive this war, we would evolve beyond it. "Commander Rodriguez, Colonel Drake," he spoke into his comm. "Phoenix Dawn is prepped for Operation Stormbreak." The quantum comm crackled with Rodriguez's response. "Copy that, Chief. All underground networks are synchronized. Earth's geological forces are ready to amplify your attack. You have one shot at their orbital command node, make it count." The plan was audacious, perhaps even insane. While the Nyxthari were distracted by their failing attempt to crystallize Earth's surface, the Phoenix Dawn would lead a strike force directly at their command and control center. Not to destroy it, to capture it. "All hands battle stations," Kai ordered, making his way to the engineering hub at the ship's heart. Around him, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. They were an odd mix: military personnel, civilian engineers, even a few teenagers who'd shown extraordinary aptitude for working with crystal tech. This war had erased old boundaries, forged new kinds of warriors. The massive hangar doors above began to open, revealing the night sky through layers of holographic camouflage. The Nyxthari's crystallization attempt had created strange auroras, curtains of light that rippled with alien energy. "Launch sequence initiated," Hannah announced. "Crystal drive spooling up, chaos matrices at full power." The Phoenix Dawn rose silently, its hybrid systems defying conventional physics. Unlike the rigid geometry of Nyxthari ships, its crystal components flowed like liquid metal, constantly adapting, evolving. They'd learned that trying to impose perfect order was a weakness. True strength came from embracing uncertainty. As they ascended through the atmosphere, other ships joined them, smaller fighters and gunships, each built with the same hybrid technology. The crystal auroras provided perfect cover, masking their approach from the Nyxthari's sensors. "Enemy patrol detected," one of the tactical officers reported. 3 cruisers, standard crystal configuration." Kai smiled grimly. "Show them what chaos can do." The Phoenix Dawn's weapons came alive, not with the precise beams of Nyxthari energy weapons, but with writhing tendrils of crystalline lightning. The alien cruiser's perfect geometric shields shattered on contact, their rigid systems unable to adapt to the unpredictable patterns. "Command node in visual range," Hannah called out. "Their defensive screen is—" "Wait, something's wrong." The massive crystalline structure that served as the Nyxthari's orbital headquarters was transforming. Its surface churned like a storm at sea, fragments breaking off and reforming into new configurations. "They're evolving," Kai realized, both alarmed and fascinated. "They've finally started to understand. They're trying to copy our chaos patterns." But it was too late for them. As the Phoenix Dawn's strike force engaged the enemy fleet, the planet itself seemed to respond. The disruption fields planted by resistance forces worldwide activated in sequence, sending waves of energy through Earth's natural systems. Magnetic fields twisted, tectonic plates shifted, and the crystalline auroras became a weapon. "All ships execute attack pattern Omega," Kai commanded. Full power to chaos drives. Let's show them what happens when you push humanity to its limits. The battle that followed would be studied for generations to come. Human hybrid ships danced through crystal debris, their weapons turning the Nykthari's own energy against them. The Phoenix Dawn led the charge, its constantly evolving systems adapting faster than the aliens could respond. And below, Earth itself seemed to wake up. The Nykthari's attempt to crystallize the planet had created a connection they never intended, a link that humanity now used to channel the raw power of an entire living world into their attacks. Command node shields are failing, Hannah reported, her voice tight with excitement. Their crystal matrices are destabilizing. We've got them. Kai watched as the massive structure began to break apart, not into random fragments, but in a controlled cascade that their hybrid systems could capture and redirect. They weren't just defeating the Nykthari, they were consuming their technology, making it their own. Begin quantum tether, he ordered. All ships maintain chaos field coverage. We're taking this thing home. As the Phoenix Dawn's crystal tendrils wrapped around the failing command node, Kai felt a surge of fierce pride. Humanity had done more than survive. We had evolved, turned our greatest challenge into a catalyst for advancement. The Nykthari had thought their crystal technology represented the peak of civilization. Instead, it had become the key to unlocking humanity's true potential. The stars themselves seemed to dim as Earth's hybrid fleet began their descent, dragging the captured command center with them. This wasn't just a victory, it was a revolution. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, Kai knew other alien civilizations were watching, learning a crucial lesson. Earth was no longer just another target for conquest. We had become something new, something that thrived on the very chaos our enemies feared. And we were just getting started. 1 year after the Nykthari's first betrayal, Earth's surface was transformed. Crystal spires rose from reclaimed cities, not with the cold perfection of alien design, but with an organic chaos that reflected humanity's new understanding. In the command center of New Geneva, the leaders of Earth's resistance gathered to witness something none had thought possible 12 months ago. Captain Alina Blackwood, once presumed lost with the UES Athena, stood at the center of the chamber. Her survival had become legend. She and her crew had merged with their ship systems during that final battle, becoming one with the hybrid crystal technology in a desperate gambit that changed the course of the war. The Nykthari fleet is in full retreat across all sectors, she announced, her voice carrying harmonics that made the crystal walls resonate. Where her skin had once been pale, it now shimmered with subtle iridescence, marking her as one of the first of Earth's evolved humans. But that's not why we're here today. Commander Rodriguez, Colonel Drake, Dr. Zhao, and Chief Engineer Patel joined her at the quantum display table. Each bore their own marks of the war's cybernetic enhancements, crystal-infused tissue, neural interfaces that bridged human consciousness with alien technology. They had become living symbols of humanity's adaptation. The captured command node has yielded its secrets, Dr. Zhao explained, bringing up a galactic map that filled the chamber with points of light. The Nykthari Empire spans 17 star systems, each one taken through the same method they attempted here. Find a developing civilization, offer false hope, then transform their world into a crystal farm for their endless expansion. But Earth changed everything, Drake added, his cybernetic eye glowing as he studied the map. We're receiving transmissions from other conquered worlds. Our victory here, our ability to not just resist but adapt their technology, has inspired rebellions across their empire. Elena nodded, touching the display. The map zoomed in on a cluster of systems where crystal signatures were fluctuating wildly. The Nykthari built their empire on the assumption that order and control were the pinnacle of evolution. We proved them wrong. Chaos, adaptation, the very things they sought to eliminate, turned out to be the key to surpassing them. The Phoenix Dawn's success had been just the beginning. Once humanity understood how to merge their consciousness with crystal systems, a new era of development exploded. Ships that could evolve during battle, cities that grew and adapted to their inhabitants' needs, communication networks that operated on quantum levels previously thought impossible. We're not just driving them back, Kai said, his hands moving through the holographic data streams with practiced ease. We're fundamentally changing the nature of space warfare, of civilization itself. The hybrid tech we've developed is superior to their pure crystal systems in every way. But victory had come with profound changes. The line between human and machine, between organic and crystal, had blurred. Some feared they were losing their humanity. Alina and others like her proved the opposite. They were expanding what humanity could become. The Terran Alliance is no longer just a dream, Rodriguez declared, bringing up images of the first hybrid colony ships preparing for launch. We have the technology, the understanding, and most importantly, the will to ensure Earth never faces this kind of threat again. The gathered leaders watched as the first ships broke orbit, carrying teams of evolved humans and hybrid technology to the stars. Their mission wasn't conquest, it was liberation. Each vessel carried the knowledge and tools needed to help other worlds break free from crystal bondage. We could have stopped at survival, Alina addressed the chamber, her voice carrying the weight of all they'd learned and lost. We could have driven them from Earth and fortified our system, but that's not who we are. The Nixthari thought they were uplifting lesser species, transforming them into something perfect. Instead, they created the seeds of their own obsolescence. The quantum displays shifted, showing real-time footage from across the galaxy. Crystallized worlds pulsing with new energy as hybrid technology spread. Former slave species learning to merge organic chaos with crystal precision. The rigid empire of the Nixthari crumbling as a new, more dynamic civilization emerged. This is the dawn of the Terran Age, Alina continued, her transformed eyes seeing far beyond the chamber walls. Not an age of conquest or forced evolution, but of true advancement. We'll help these worlds free themselves, teach them what we've learned. And together we'll build something the Nixthari never could, a civilization that thrives on diversity, adaptation, and the endless possibilities of controlled chaos. Dr. Zhao stepped forward, her neural interfaces synchronizing with the display. The first hybrid gateway is ready for activation. Once established, we can begin large-scale liberation operations across multiple systems simultaneously. The chamber hummed with energy as humanity prepared to take its first true steps into the galactic community. Not as victims or conquerors, but as innovators who had taken an enemy's weapon and transformed it into something revolutionary. They crossed the line, Alina said softly, remembering that first moment of betrayal that seemed so long ago. And in doing so, they forced us to become something greater than they could imagine. The stars will remember this not as the day they made an enemy of Earth, but as the day humanity showed the galaxy a better way forward. As the gateway flared to life, its crystal hybrid surface rippling with controlled chaos, Earth's leaders watched their ships begin their journey outward. The Nixthari had meant to harvest their world. Instead, they had planted the seeds of their own transcendence. The Terran Age had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.